What's up, everybody? It's Nick, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to program drum patterns in multiple genres. I really think these are the rhythms that every producer should know. While I'm using Ableton Live, this is definitely applicable in any DAW. We're going to be mainly working in piano roll, which is, as you know, universal. Let's take a quick listen to the genres we're going to cover. As you can see, I've arranged the genres from lowest to highest BPM. If you want to jump to the genre you're interested in specifically, we'll have the timestamp in the description. However, I do recommend watching the entire video because you will learn some new rhythms. Lastly, we're going to have all these patterns available as free MIDI files. The link will be at the top right of the screen, as well as the description. Let's begin with hip hop. So in this case, I'm referring to classic 90s hip hop. Let's listen. This is around 80 to 95 BPM. With all the genres, I've chosen another musical element other than the drums to support and help you complete the picture of that genre. All these sounds are from Splice, and this is specifically a piano riff with some nice eighth notes. So let's look at how to program the drum pattern. So the drum sounds we're going to need are kick, snare, hat, and another hat. We're going to start all of these patterns with one measure. If you're not familiar with what a measure is, think of it as the smallest unit of time. Like if you're thinking Legos, this is literally the Lego. That's just one little unit, one little piece. That's one measure. I'm also going to refer to beats within the measure throughout this video. When I say beat 2, that is specifically 1.2. When I say beat 3, that's 1.3. Beat 4, 1.4. The 1 indicates that it is the first measure. The 0.2 indicates that it's the second beat. I'm going to switch to pencil mode using B, and let's put the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. And let's put the kick on beat 1 on 1.3, which is the third beat. This is considered the and a little 16th note right before that third beat. A lot of the drums in this genre have a lot of groove to them or human feeling. So we're going to take these and we're going to shorten them a little bit. If you hold Command in Ableton, you can get it off the grid. And if I select the piano note here, I'm going to slide this over. And maybe this one a little late. So it's sometimes nice to put the snare just a hair early. The kicks can be a little bit late. It depends on what beat and, of course, the feeling of the melodic component. But let's go ahead and put the hat in. And we're going to swing this by dragging it off the beat. And the velocity, we can adjust the velocity down here, or I can hold Command over the note. And we want this swing, so we're going to highlight the time, Command D for duplicate across. I'm going to put the hats and slide them so that they line up perfectly with the snare. And if we want to make the measures maybe twice as long, I'll do measure length here. And I'll do 2 measures. Hit enter. Highlight this. And we can just put a little variance by putting a snare drum maybe at the 3 cells away from that backbeat or the if you're thinking classic music theory. All right, on to reggaeton, moombahton, and dancehall. The BPM can be anywhere from 95 to even like 125, 130. I have it at mine at 100 BPM. A lot of these genres are based off 2 important rhythms, tresillo and clave. let's take a look at the bass reggaeton rhythm. The bare essential instruments we'll need are the kick, the rim, and the shaker. So this is what is considered a 4 on the floor genre, meaning the kick is on every 4 beats. And the tresillo rhythm I was referring to is this grouping of notes. So that is 3, 3, and 2 spacing right here. So 3, 3, and 2. Very important rhythm. And if we just take away the first one, that's a very, very standard, again, moombahton, reggaeton, dancehall rhythm. Here's a variation. Let's put in the measure for 4. So we're going to do 4 measures. We're going to duplicate this across. So the next step is to add the shaker. Again, B for pencil mode. We'll draw a line across. So that sounds pretty robotic, and that's because there's no velocity variation between the notes. We might actually use a shaker loop for this, but for the sake of learning, we're programming everything with one-shots. Let's take the velocity down, and I like doing a little crescendo. So that's raising in velocity for the first 3 notes. And then the last note's kind of still softer. So it's not all the way crescendoing. So this pattern sounds nice. And let's go ahead and duplicate that across. So there's some variations we can do quickly. If we take away the kicks here, this is more now a dancehall rhythm. And if we actually take that second note of the tresillo, again, this relationship here is tresillo. And if we take that second note and move it down to a kick, also sounds really nice. So let's just do that. Next up, we have house, which actually encompasses a lot of sub-genres. However, there is a general BPM range of 110 to 130 for this genre. Let's take a listen to the bass loop. And right now I have it strictly at 120 beats per minute. This is also another 4 on the floor genre. So we'll put the kick on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll put the clap on 2 and 4. So we have a kick, clap, and in this case I have a closed hat and an open hat. One of the classic places to put this is on the upbeat. And let's now fill in the 16th notes with and just like the shakers and the moombahton, we can take the velocity and make it more dynamic by putting some variation. The other thing that's going to be really nice for this is adding some swing. So swing is technically when we morph from 16th notes to triplets. And in Ableton, if we literally just search for swing, we're going to get some of our grooves. And these grooves are meant to be put into the groove pool. Now that's a 32nd note groove. We want a 16th note groove. And if we simply drag the groove file onto the pattern, it applies it. We can also access the grooves here. So yeah, let's solo the hi-hats. Here's without any swing. And here's with a lot of swing. If I actually want to see what that looks like, I can just hit this commit button and watch the hi-hat notes move. So that's a nice trick to use, which is again swing, which all DAWs have this capability. Some variations we can do with this house beat. Let's make it 4 measures long, or by duplicating loop. We can put a little momentum to the kick by taking it and moving it across here. sounds nice to drop the kick every few phrases. So let's go ahead, duplicate this, and drop the kick out. Moving on to techno, which is another 4 on the floor genre. The BPM for this will be anywhere from 120 to 140, so it's a little on the higher side. The instruments we need are the kick, the hats, and some percussion. Techno drums are generally very driving because of the 16th notes that are going on in all the percussion. So let's take the hat and draw it across in 16th grid. And what we want to do is, again, a little velocity. I'm going to take the first one and make it much softer and make a ramp up all the way, all 4 beats. So it's a crescendo every 4 beats. The next thing we'll do is take the other hat and maybe put it right on the and. The block will also have going 16ths, but we'll accent different notes. So we'll take this one really soft. And duplicate that. So slightly different velocity. I'm going to take the main one down right here too. And lastly, the shaker can maybe go every measure. I'm putting it on the 4th cell, which is right before beat 2. And we can again get that same kind of kick momentum we used in house, which is the 2 and 3. Cool. Now cranking up the BPM a little further, we're now at 135, and that lands us on future bass. And this is now not a 4 on the floor genre. This is a broken beat genre. And when I say broken beat, I mean the snares and the kicks generally don't hit together. That's not always the case, but that's generally the rule. All the beats before this have been mainly in what we call double time, where the accent of the backbeat, the clap, the snare, is on beats 2 and 4. And now that we're at 135 BPM, we're going to start shifting into maybe some halftime genres where the backbeat, again, snare, clap, snap, falls on beat 3. So for our future bass kit, we've got a kick, a snare, another snare, and a lot more percussion, some textural, like metallic sounds, maybe less straight up hi-hats. As I said, this is a halftime genre, so we're going to put the snare on beat 3. And since this is halftime, let's go ahead and make the length right off the bat 4 measures, so we have a longer phrasing to work with. So safe places to emphasize the beat are beats 1, 4, and 2. So listen to this. And I'm going to move the kicks the rim on the and of 4, which again is the 3rd cell from 1.4. It can sound really nice if we get 16ths in there by maybe putting the secondary snare into the main snare. Where that space is on maybe 2.4. There's some nice space right here at the beginning, so I'm going to put the shaker right on the and, which is again the 3rd cell, and 1.2. Maybe 1 right here. And copy that pattern over. So highlight the 2 measures, duplicate. Let's hold command and take the velocity down. Next, we have R&B. Our BPM will be anywhere from 125 to 145. It is also a halftime feeling. For our drums, we have our kick, we have a rim, we have 2 hats, and an open hat. We'll put the rim on beat 3. Let's highlight the time and duplicate it across. Let's get a double bump on the kick, which will be on beats 1 and the and, which is again the 3rd space. And we can put the kick right before the rim. For the hats, let's do a very chill 8th note pattern, and we want slight velocity discrepancy. That's good. And duplicate this across. So this is 2 different hi-hat tones completing the pattern. They're very similar hi-hats. And we'll take this one last closed hat and move it up to the open hat at the end of the phrase. All right, now we're at dubstep, which is anywhere between 140 and 160 BPM. I have mine at 150. Let's take a listen. And for the drums, we're gonna want a halftime feeling. I'm gonna set the measure length to 4. The drums I have are very simple. It's a really heavy hitting kick, snare, and then 2 cymbals, both with slightly longer sustains. They'll serve as like the bed for the bass. So this is also a halftime beat. So now when I say halftime, you should be thinking the snare will go on the 3rd beat. So we're gonna put that on the 3rd beat here. I would say the kick is less syncopated than like trap or R&B. So we're just gonna have the kick on 1 and 2, maybe a little double here. And then same thing here. Lastly, we'll just have the cymbals talk to each other on beats 1 and 2 and duplicate that across. All right, getting up in the BPM, the second to last genre I have is trap. And this is anywhere from 140 to 165. I have it at 160 right now. Let's take a listen. I've got this nice Grand Theft loop going. So for the drums, we have a hard-hitting kick, a classic clap, and a close hat and open hat. Very simple. Let's do the measures. 4 measures to start. So length 4. Put the clap on beats 3. And a nice syncopation for the clap can be this rhythm where we put the and of 4 and the and of 2, which is a 3rd cell. So for the kick, we'll put it on beat 1, and we generally want to avoid the clap, so we're just going to fill it in how we hear it, which I think will sound good right here. This is right before the 3rd beat, and maybe right here on 2. And then this could be a double bump. And another double bump. For the hats, we're gonna start filling them in as eighth notes. So we'll do Command 2 to get to eighth note grid. That again decreases the grid size. Draw it across. Now trap hi-hats are all about those rolls, which are actually smaller values than eighth notes. Those are generally like 32nd or even 64th notes. Now let's hit Command 1, which now makes our grid size smaller and gets a 32nd, and we can draw in some hats, rolls. Put one into beat 3 here. It's nice to maybe lead into a clap or emphasize a kick with the roll. So this would be like emphasizing a kick. And then I'm going to throw in a triplet by using Command 3 and put that in. The other important thing may be the tuning of the hats. So let's go to the hat. We'll go to the transposition and we'll just show the modulation. Draw some points here. Lastly, let's put the open hat on beat 2, maybe every other measure. And lastly, we have drum and bass, which is generally in the highest BPM range compared to these other genres. It can be anywhere from 160 to even 190 BPM. Right here, we have it at 174. Let's take a listen. Now for drum and bass, I would probably use a drum loop because if you're unaware, a lot of this genre is based off of the fact that they sample classic drum breaks such as the Amen break and speed them up. So that is part of the genre. Let's just try to make our own kind of Amen break with an acoustic sounding drum set and then an electronic drum set layering over that. So we have the electronic kit and then the acoustic kit. And I have them filtered slightly. So the bass rhythm for this is actually double time. It's fast. Let's put the length to 4 measures. Put the snare drum on beats 2 and 4 since it is double time. And duplicate that across. The kick is now going to go on beat 1. And then the and of 3. The and of the next measure, and the and of 3 again. So that sounds like this. The fast break we're going to actually accomplish with our one shots, and let's get the snare on beats 2, and then this is a classic rhythm. So this is the classic feeling of drum and bass with the sampled snare rhythm being this Amen brother break. So we're going to duplicate that. We'll put the acoustic sounding kick on beat 1 and the and of 3. And the hi-hats need to really drive the pattern by doing eighth notes. So let's do this. And the last 2 snares we have, which are a rim and another acoustic snare, can fill in any syncopated spaces. Lastly, we'll take a brighter sounding hi-hat and outline every eighth note, not trade off like these acoustic hats. And there you have it. Those were the drum patterns that I think every producer should know. It will definitely help you when you want to kind of go between genres or experiment a little bit by combining genres. Let us know in the comments if there's a style or a genre that you would like us to take a deeper dive into. Also, don't forget to download the free MIDI files that we covered in this video. The link will be in the description. Please subscribe to our channel for more production videos. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see everyone next time.